there, I'm Shawna Robins, CEO and founder of Third Spark. And today I am doing an interview for Authority Magazine on our topic of thriving through menopause. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Tamsen Fadal, the award-winning journalist, menopause and women's health advocate, and producer of The M Factor, Shredding the Silence on Menopause, which is premiering on PBS on October 17th in advance of World Menopause Day. In addition, she has a new book coming out in March 2025 titled How to Menopause. Tamsen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so tell me how you became involved in women's health and wellness.
Yeah, I had an incident of my own, not knowing I was in menopause in the workplace. And after that, I started going out in search of trying to understand what was happening with me. I was having brain fog, didn't know the words at the time, but I'd look at a word and not know what it was, couldn't get it out of my mouth. I was forgetting things. I wasn't sleeping. I used to be the girl that would, pass out as soon as I hit the bed, and I was spending hours awake and on the couch. And my body was just starting to change overall. So I realized a lot was going on, but I didn't realize what was going on. And I wound up going to a doctor, and I got a message in my patient portal from my OBGYN that said, "In menopause, any questions?" And 4 words that took me down a very long rabbit hole of understanding what was going on. And I've been a journalist my whole life, and I think that this is the one story I had not uncovered and or been aware of. And I realized that so many women were dealing with the same thing. I thought my situation was unique. I found out it certainly wasn't. And then just started talking about it on social media, and then couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, there's a great groundswell on this topic right now, and I'm so
Yeah,
happy that you're able to lead us through this. So let's talk
for
about the Women's
sure.
Health Initiative. That's something that obviously set
Sure.
women's health back, what, 20 plus years.
20
So
plus.
yeah, yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, the movie that you have coming out and kind of the myths that you want to dispel around this.
Yeah, absolutely. I started working on a documentary with a fellow producer that had worked at the Today Show after she left there, and we started talking to women, saying like, we've got to do something about this. Like, we're hearing the same story over and over and over again, but couldn't find information ourselves. And that's what researchers and producers and journalists do. They can't find answers, so they go and search. And we started it about 3 years ago, and we didn't really know what we were looking for at the time. We knew there wasn't a lot of information. We knew there were some doctors that were talking about it. We knew there was a study in 2002, the Women's Health Initiative, that it confused a lot of women and made them very afraid of taking hormone therapy, which has been shown to be very successful for a lot of the symptoms. But we knew a lot of women had fear of it due to the headlines coming from that study. Data really didn't support, as it turned out. And so we went in search of finding doctors that could explain it to us, explain what happened back then, explain that 40% of women were taking hormone therapy, down to 4% after those headlines were released. That really scared women. So we wanted to understand that. We wanted to explain what was going on. We wanted to understand where we were today in terms of menopause. And then, we say it's shredding the silence, because I think that there has been this taboo associated with menopause. And I always hesitate when I use that word, because I think it's such an unfair word, but that is what it is. There was a topic that women didn't talk about, that women didn't that whispered about, thought they had to get through, had doctors that didn't understand. And really, the film is to empower these women, and to, one, make sure they know that they're heard, two, make sure that they realize that there are solutions out there for them, and three, try to dispel any misinformation that they might have about the topic. So we go into brain and sex and hormone therapy and understanding non-hormonal solutions. We go into race and how that plays a role in how some women are treated. And so we just wanted to make sure. In workplace, we talk about workplace as well, because a lot of women are dealing with menopause in the workplace.
Yeah, I think that is such a powerful, impactful, documentary. I can't wait to be able to watch it. One of the topics that is near and dear to my heart, unfortunately, is medical gaslighting. That was something that I
Yeah.
dealt with. I saw, 5 different doctors before I was able to find access to bioidentical HRT. And I know I hear this across the board from women that I coach and women that I work with, that
Mhm,
medical
mhm.
gaslighting or just being ignored, not even being
Yep.
dismissed by their doctors, male or female doctors, it doesn't really matter. During menopause is something that is so real and so
Yeah.
pervasive. So in your movie, the M Factor, how are you guys going to try to make a difference in the current medical model to build it into something better?
Yeah, I mean, that is the whole point of it. I think, what's important for us is that women see themselves in the film. And then I think it's also important that women are empowered and armed with the right information so that they can go into their doctor's office. So when a doctor says something like, it's your age now, and this is what happens as you get older, or, you're going to get through it. You come out the other side. It's not going to last forever. That you are empowered to say, look, I know there are solutions. Let me know which ones could possibly work for me. If there aren't ones that could work for me, can you point me in the direction of somebody that feels comfortable enough talking about it so I can get some solutions? Because I think that's what's difficult. It's difficult to challenge your doctor. It's difficult to challenge people you think that know more than you. But the truth is that we've done enough research and talked to enough doctors that readily admit that they haven't had this training in medical school, even if this is the part of that they're in, either even if they're OBGYNs. So it's a very small amount of their training. So I don't feel uncomfortable telling women that they need to stand up for what they believe in and to know that there are some answers out there for them and not to be afraid to ask those questions.
Yes, yes, so important. I really, really love that. I'm hoping by the time my daughter hits my age that I am now, I'm 52, that it won't be an issue. There will be proper education.
Yes.
This will be taught in
Yeah.
medical school. Every, board
Wow.
certified
Me too.
OBGYN will have the skills to be able to help women through midlife instead of us just kind of suffering in silence as it's
Yeah,
been for prior generations. Yeah.
for
Now,
too
what
long.
about women of color? What about women of lower economic situations? I mean, how is your movie going to be able to inspire them as well?
Yeah, I think it's important that every woman knows that we there can't be a barrier to this information, and that's really what the movie is about, the film is about. And the reason that we're also making sure that there are screenings that we give the movie to women so people can bring it into their communities, have screenings. We're not charging for that kind of stuff. That's it's very important for us that people have access, because if they don't have access, they can't, one, get the information, and two, figure out what to do with it. And then I think next step for me anyway, in particular, is to really go after those research dollars so that we can find ways to help women, because it's one thing to have the information, it's another to have access to have the right kind of treatment.
Yeah, that's super important. I saw the trailer that you have where you talk about, one of the women talks about trauma and how women of color have so much trauma and how that affects their body in the menopause transition and their
In a big
hormones.
way.
I think that's such an important point that most women don't think about.
Yep.
And so I love that you're bringing down these barriers of entry for all women. Cause
Thank you.
like you said, menopause is universal. Every woman on
Yes,
the
it is.
planet is going to
If,
go
if you're
through it.
lucky enough, if you're lucky enough to live through it.
Exactly. Exactly. Every woman on the planet, hopefully, if they're lucky enough, will go through it. And to have
Yep.
a support system around it is, I think, one of the most important things that the medical model can do for women, or even outside the medical, just in general, recognizing women's health in general needs to
Yeah,
change.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more.
All right, so talk to me about brain health. The statistics on the Alzheimer's Association website right now say that by 2030, more women will be diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia than breast cancer, which is such a startling statistic for many, many of us, especially me. I
Mhm,
have a family history of Alzheimer's. My father was
mhm.
diagnosed when he was 62. So I'm
Wow, sorry.
super cognitive or cognizant. I'm very aware of my brain health and what I need: sleep, diet, stress reduction, these things. But
Mhm.
I didn't realize that HRT played such a factor in brain health when I first hit my menopause journey. Do you guys talk about this at all in the movie?
We do. Neuroscientist Lisa Mosconi is one of the big researchers that had started out talking a lot about women's brain health with Alzheimer's and dementia, and then started working on women in menopause as well and their brains. And that was a big part of this conversation. We actually went back and forth, like, what part of this are we going to start with? Like, is it sex? Is it brain? And it was really important for us to give a lot of attention to brain, because I think that that's what most of us see during this time, right? I mean, I myself lost a lot of my confidence in the workplace because I couldn't process things properly. And so I think that a lot of women are aware of either the symptoms of it, or like yourself, have some kind of history what that concerns them. And I think that that's where a lot of that medical gaslighting comes in a doctor's office, when you say, having a tough time with my focus, or remembering, or I feel like I, can't pay attention to things anymore. Like for me, things in my life that used to be very organized got messy. And I think that, a lot of doctors, it's just age, it's going to be okay. We all go through it. And you start to feel very diminished by that, first of all. And then you feel like you don't really have any answers. So, brain health is a big part of the conversation, a big part of how estrogen plays a role, a big part of understanding where we are in a perimenopausal brain versus a menopausal brain versus a postmenopausal brain. So Dr. Mosconi is really one of the leading voices in this. And so it was exciting to get to talk to her and talk to her team about it, and really understand what they do, day in and day out, and present those kind of findings, because I think that we need that information. It's not, for me anyway, been in one place that I could find it all. And we hope this film does its part to show some of that, and share some of that, and showcase the work that doctors are doing.
Yeah, amazing. I loved her books, both the XX Brain and the
Yeah,
Menopause Brain. I read them
she's
both.
brilliant.
They were fantastic.
She's brilliant.
Oh, good. I'm so glad she's a part of this movie. That makes me even more excited to watch it. All right,
Yes,
so
yes,
tell me where, women can follow you, where people can find the movie, all the good stuff, how to do a watch party or a screening.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Tamsen Fadal, anywhere media website. And then with regard to the film, you have to check your local listings for PBS, depending on where you live. We will have screenings going on in different cities, and PBS.org is also going to be streaming on, starting on October the 17th, full out. So if you missed the broadcast, you can see it there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was just such a pleasure to talk to you.
You too.